Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast on a Monday. That must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing on this never-endingly hot summer day?
Doing great. In LA, it's hot, but not compared to other parts of the country. For example,
Mm-hmm.
family in Utah is going through triple digits,
Whew,
hundreds,
that's rough.
102, whatever
That's rough.
type of stuff. I'm assuming in Georgia it's balmy and humidity
Yeah,
and
low
hot, so it
low
makes things
90s, something like 90%
okay.
humidity. I mean, you go outside and it's basically a swamp, is what it is. So
Okay.
yeah, it's awful.
Yeah. Sorry. Hopefully you have a first world luxury of AC in your apartment,
Yeah,
whatever, to
I mean, it could be
cool off.
worse. We could be living in France during that heat wave, and that
Yeah,
would have
oof,
been
I've
bad.
heard stories
Yeah,
about that. So
man,
yeah,
man alive. So, yeah,
yeah,
we could at least retreat to our the luxuries of modern living.
yeah. Yeah. So all good though, considering that we're just talking about the weather and nothing else too crazy going
Yeah,
on.
absolutely,
At
absolutely.
least in our local lives. So, yeah, I can roll into what we're working on
I'd
tonight.
love to see it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Um, welcome anybody who's never joined our stream and or has joined our streams where Eric and I hang out in our writers room slash animators room where Eric talks about all kinds of pop culture stuff and I chime in along with him while I animate and we talk about our cartoon kind of
Mm-hmm.
in between all of that stuff. So we like to juggle a lot of plates all at the same time. And boy, do we have plenty of plates. We usually have a bunch of plates we're always spinning around
There's always
every
plates.
week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So in this scene, I'm gonna be working on Calamity taking a swig of her juice from the juice bar from the juice bar here at the Prickly Pear, and
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
her just take a sip and then walk to the next scene. Literally
Nice.
walk out into the next scene. That's
Okay.
the plan. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Um, I finally just to kind of change gears as I start here. I did watch Odyssey over the weekend, so now
Mm-hmm.
I've caught up on that. I know I gotta wait on you for that. So um I know you're looking for tickets for it yourself, see it in 70 millimeter.
Yeah, yeah, definitely gonna make the trek. There's a true IMAX 70, aspect ratio theater about an hour north of where I live. So we're gonna drive up in that direction. Mall of Georgia is where it's located at,
Uh-huh.
and check it out. I think we're gonna try to like make a day of it just because it's such a commitment of time to get up there.
Uh-huh.
But no, I haven't got the tickets yet. Soonish. I'm it's I get busy sometimes, and I'm starting to head into a busy season again. Got a couple of shows lined up that I'm doing, a couple of trips planned with friends. So trying to work in the movie is like the balancing act right now. But yeah, I do want
Mhm.
to see it in that particular format. So try to make that happen.
Yeah, and again, sometimes it's what's fun about our stream. Sometimes is Eric and I will debate about stuff if we happen to disagree on something, whatever, and then it's more fun to kind of play, bounce around on both sides. But in this case, before I even go to that, I don't think I should worry too much about spoilers because the Iliad, the
Yeah,
story, the Odyssey,
yeah. I
is
mean,
gajillion years old.
yeah,
Um,
if you don't know the story of the Odyssey, I'm sorry, man. The
I'm
statute of
saying at this point,
limitations is up on that
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So with all that said, I mean, I will go into it. I think Eric, I think you touched on a little bit, maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's Austrian or not, but the whole justification of a 70 millimeter print of this movie, we're talking about this offline too a little bit, but it was comical to me because you kept echoing in my brain whenever I was watching the movie, saying, "Yeah, why was this shot needed for? Why did they need 70 millimeter for this? What about this?
Mm-hmm.
What about this
Mm-hmm.
wide, vast shot of the ocean? What? Why do we need this for this boat shot? Why do we need it for these two people talking here?" That's all. It was so. It was again comical
Yeah.
and it's kind of sad. It's like, why? Here I am, you know, with family watching this movie, trying, making sure I got tickets to this thing at 70 millimeter, and all these other people are diehards doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just kept asking the question, but why? Watching the entire thing, I just kept asking why. with all that said, my review of this movie is it's probably his best movie he's ever done.
Mhm,
I would
mhm.
say it's really good.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, yeah, all of
but
my
there's a
commentary
big why.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All of my commentary has been strictly about what I do know of the film. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on the acting or the directing or the writing or
yeah,
anything like that. So I
yeah.
reserve judgment, but yeah, I mean, we did talk about this a little bit on one of the previous streams, and we talked about this on our online sync up as I mean our just our personal sync up. Uh, the question I always come back to is um the aspect ratio can fit on modern screens, right? It's a square-ish aspect ratio, right? But it'll fit on modern screens. So literally the only thing he's done is he's taken an unbelievably cumbersome camera, had Warner Brothers, I guess, spend God knows how many millions of dollars inventing technology to make it feasible to use this camera to shoot a normal movie, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
so he can do an aspect ratio that already fits on modern screens, but it's just at an insanely high resolution, right? He just really is obsessed with the biggest possible screens you can possibly imagine. That is his whole reason for doing this, right? Um, you could take the movie in its intended aspect ratio and put it on a lower resolution screen and it would not be as big, admittedly,
hmm
right?
hmm
But there's nothing nothing technical about the way the movie was shot that would prevent it from being on any other screen, right? Like it's it's an ostentatious technology. The We've talked about this I believe on the stream. A single copy of the movie on 70 millimeter film weighs 800 pounds. It takes a team of like 10 people to get it to work. Um, there are few cinema operators that still are trained in, pulling reel changes, right? Which you
yeah,
have to do on a format of this size. Um, you know, But like if you go to the big screens, I mean, you get to see Matt Damon's head 100 feet tall, right? I don't know that I ever
yeah,
really needed to
yeah,
see Matt Damon's head 100 feet tall, but you get to do that in the
yeah.
Odyssey, right? So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean, like you just said, I just my it's always just my question since I heard about this movie is why, for what purpose, right? Um,
Yeah.
IMAX captures footage at a resolution that on anything less than 100 foot tall screen is hard for the human eye to differentiate from like 4K, right? Um, and so I mean, he intentionally filmed a movie at a resolution that only 41 theaters in the world are capable of displaying, and it's just like he is literally the only director who can get away with that. I mean, today's Spielberg couldn't, right? Maybe at the peak of his powers, post Jurassic Park, post Schindler's List, maybe Spielberg could have commanded that if he wanted to, but
hmm hmm
not now. I don't know of a single other working director who could so blatantly uh just it's just hubris to me. I don't, I just feel like
hmm
it's hubris, right? And
hmm
again,
hmm
we talked this on previous streams. Like you've got other directors making amazing movies on shoestring budgets, right?
hmm
And the only
Yeah.
difference between them is they're not shot at a resolution that God can see from heaven, right? Like,
hmm
um,
Yeah.
you know, and I just don't understand, and maybe it's just my producer's mindset. Like if I were an executive producer at Warner Brothers, right? Like I would just ask I'd still give him the money because I know he's going to put butts in seats, but I would just really like to know why. Like why? I just I need to I have this need to understand what he thinks he's contributing to the art form other than really high resolution, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and again, this is strictly a technology critique. I can't speak to the movie because I haven't seen it. So, and everybody I know who's seen it says it's great. So, by all
Mhm.
accounts, it's great. I'm strictly speaking about what I think is a pure act of hubris on Nolan's part, right? He's the only
Mhm.
director working today who could possibly get away with something as ridiculous as what he pulled off with this movie.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah. But with all that said, it's a great movie, though.
yeah.
You'll get your money's worth seeing it. I mean, it's a spectacle of a movie.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
impressive, though he wrote and directed it, and all that stuff. I mean, the script is fine. It does the job. It services
Mhm.
the story. I don't even, I only know, parts of the Odyssey just from pop culture, just by osmosis, just randomly seeing stuff, whatever. So I
Mhm.
know about stuff that's in it. So I probably not. I'm definitely not a fanboy of the Odyssey to where to how accurate the story is.
Mhm.
From the old text to the modern day. But I have to say, for a modern day adaptation of the book, I thought it was great. I thought it was a good. It was a good. Yeah, I've used the word modern day. It's just a modernized version of retelling of the Odyssey. And it's. I think he hit the right chords for people to consume it and to enjoy the story and something that's time an age old tale just modernized.
Mhm.
I thought that
Mhm.
part was great. He achieved his goal, and considering how much money the movie's already made in 3 weeks, he's definitely
Oh
paid
yeah.
Warner Brothers made the right gamble. IMAX made the right gamble, clearly. I just
Clearly,
kept
right. Yeah.
asking, yeah, I just kept asking questions of why. When you
No.
could, I mean, now now you never know for sure, but what if he didn't put it in 70 millimeter and he just kind of just got more theaters just to play normal and shoot it normal? Would he made more money? I don't know.
It,
Maybe the buzz around it is what helps kind of get
yeah.
people to,
There's no question that
yeah.
it is a marketing gimmick to a certain extent. Especially
And
again, going back to there are only 41 theaters in the world that can display it the way he shot it, right? At the resolution
yeah,
that he
yeah.
shot it. So there's
Hmm.
no way that Warner Brothers ever thought they were going to make money on this movie in its native format, right?
Hmm.
So they always knew that most of the money was going to be made up in average run of the mill theaters. But all of the marketing, all of the marketing has been about IMAX, IMAX this, IMAX this, IMAX that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, a huge part of it is for at least for Warner Brothers. I mean, maybe Nolan really does believe this. I have no idea. He's a
Hmm.
smart guy. He understands audiences clearly, right? He understands cinema clearly. Like there's no doubt about that. Um, so it's not like he's doing this in a vacuum. So it blows my mind that this is there are just purely noble intentions with this whole thing. I just can't believe it. Um,
Hmm.
the IMAX thing is an absolute gimmick though, because let's just theoretically say as a thought experiment that because he shot it in IMAX, it can only be shown in IMAX theaters. Now, yeah, obviously, this is a thought experiment. It's not actually correct, but
Hmm.
there's no, they wouldn't, like I said, they would never have turned a profit on it because it was so expensive just to build the technology to shoot it this way, right?
Hmm.
So it just begs the question. There is no rational reason for him to have done this. Therefore, it has to be some combination of marketing gimmick, hubris, and just a bizarre obsession with a film format that he has the privileged luxury of being able to pursue, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's not an innovation. It's not a game changer, right? No one is going to
Hmm.
go out and start using these incredibly cumbersome cameras to shoot their movies, right? Like
Yeah.
A vast majority of movies would not be assisted by a camera like
Yeah.
this, right? So at least in, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, the producers of the movie, in their minds, it's all a marketing gimmick, right? Like
Hmm.
they couldn't give a shit less. Um, and their instincts were totally right about this, because the only thing you hear is IMAX this, IMAX that. It has almost superseded the fact that there is a movie on the other side of this IMAX gimmick.
Hmm.
No, it's a good movie by all accounts, right? Um, but it's still, no one, I just don't think anybody would ever be able to convince me that this is anything other than a gimmick. It's a resolution gimmick. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. I'll get off my
Yeah.
soapbox now.
No, that's uh, but without you being on the soapbox, I don't think I would have been. My interest is piqued only because we talked about it, because of
Mm-hmm.
these technical things. I was almost thinking about it. I'd probably skip seeing it in the theater, until the zeitgeist kept bullhorning,
Mm-hmm.
just announcing over and over again like
Mm-hmm.
how unique this movie was and all that stuff. So that was part of it for me to go see it. So, mission accomplished there for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, for
He got
sure.
my cash. Uh, but again, at the end of the day, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I would say, I know we've debated back and forth about The Dark Knight. Even a couple weeks ago, we are talking about
Yeah.
Nolan.
Yeah.
Dark Knight still was my favorite, but I think, as far as artistry and everything, I think the Odyssey is his best movie.
Mm.
I mean, my heart still goes with Dark Knight, Batman Begins. Those are my favorite Nolan movies, and Inception. I think those are the go-to for a lot of people. I think a lot of people enjoy all of those core movies, but the Odyssey, by far, the spectacle, the costumes, and I know people were complaining about they're not accurate to the times. All this, just the amount of coordination and work that went into making this film, I was impressed with that.
Mm-hmm.
There was plenty to look. There was plenty to look at through the entire thing. Whether it was a script, whether it was the acting, whether it was just the set pieces. It was great. It was a really good movie. So yeah, of course, highly recommend seeing it big. But I'm gonna still fall back to the why. It wasn't enough for me. If you're wondering if you need to see a 70 millimeter, I know you're gonna try to see a 70 millimeter. Um, but I'm starting to wonder, like when I tell other people, I'm like, I don't know what the point is unless you don't, except for the fact that you're gonna see chopped heads and stuff like that because it wasn't filmed,
Right.
intended to be filmed, you know, um, in that horizontal layout versus the 4:3.
Right.
It's the
And
only
that,
thing I could
yeah,
really say.
it's almost like a reverse pain and scan, honestly. And I think that they again, I guess I'm just such a cynic now. I get I if it I would bet money on them doing the chopped top and bottom for two reasons. One, a vast majority of the movie going audience doesn't give a shit about cinematography, right?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like any other subtle technique of filmmaking, is that when it's working properly, you don't notice it. You only notice
Hmm.
it when it's bad, right?
Hmm.
And Christopher
Hmm.
Nolan is not going to allow any movie, regardless of the aspect ratio, to have cinematography bad enough that someone's going to notice, right? He's too smart for that. Um, and so that's one reason the studios can count on people not really caring. Like, they would raise more questions if they saw a square movie with two black bars on either side of the screen than seeing a movie that was shot in a square aspect ratio with the tops and bottoms cut off, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
um so they were right in that assessment. The general movie going audience doesn't understand enough about filmmaking or cinematography to care that the top and bottom of the frame is cut off to fit a widescreen
Hmm. Hmm.
screen. Um, and then the second reason is, let's say that the audience otherwise would understand it well enough or care enough. If they actually showed the aspect ratio that Nolan shot it in, the jig would be up, right? it would be like, wait, this movie can fit on a regular screen at the intended aspect ratio that Nolan shot it at. So what's the big deal? Well, it's just at a really high resolution if you see it on an IMAX screen, right? The jig would be
And
up,
there's
right?
nothing, yeah, there's nothing cool to say that it's
Right.
just a better resolution. It's
It's
like,
just a better
so
resolution, right? Yeah, it's just like that's all it is. That's literally all it is. Um,
yeah,
and so yeah, I mean, those are the two reasons. One, it would ruin their marketing gimmick if they acknowledge that all it is a resolution thing. And two, they knew that the vast majority of the movie going audience are okay with the top and bottom of their frames being cut off, right? And this has been proven because the concept of pan and scan exists, which is basically the reverse of what they're doing for the Odyssey and traditional
yeah.
format theaters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, pan and scan cut the sides off of a movie,
Mm-hmm.
they're cutting the top and bottom off the movie to fit a widescreen. So, but yeah, it is what it
I
is ultimately.
I wonder though. I mean, so I'm going to play the other side of this just because you and I aren't privy to what happens at Warner Bros.
Yeah,
Anymore. But
yeah.
when we were there, I always felt like whenever when we were at Warner Bros., everything was kind of happy accidents. It felt like everything
Mm-hmm.
was kind of not to disparage any of our coworkers or like that, but like Harry Potter, for example, when we were there, that was getting they happened to sign a ink a deal with with Rowling, and it was a giant phenomenon, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like the story was so strong that that's what carried it.
Mm-hmm.
You could do any marketing trick you wanted to, and you were going to print money with that. Same
Mm-hmm.
with Batman. All the Batman narrations that I think you and I have witnessed
Yeah.
there, either animated or film wise, like that type of stuff, like it kind of printed itself. And I feel like with the Odyssey, I just don't know if anybody even because of the nature of how at least in this studio, how you just get the property and then make something. That's kind of how I always felt it was like there.
Mm.
Land the property, make something, and yay, and then we're geniuses. I think that's what happened with the Odyssey. I don't know. I'm on the other side of this. I don't know if they really thought about how they could market the technology in such a way to leverage it into a bunch more cash.
I mean,
I think it
maybe.
was a happy accident.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like I said,
Uh,
I'm a cynic, but I also know that if Kane Parsons, for instance, who directed Backrooms, phenomenally successful movie, right? First movie he's ever
yeah.
directed, though.
Hmm.
If he approached Warner Brothers and said, "I want to shoot Backrooms on 70 millimeter format, and I want to invent all of this IMAX technology to shoot it in this way," Warner Brothers would have laughed him out
Hmm.
of the building, right?
Sure. Yeah. Hmm.
Um, the only reason the Odyssey exists as it exists is because it had Christopher Nolan's name attached to it, right?
Mm, yeah.
Um, because it's like, and similarly, if Zach Kreger came to Warner Brothers and said I want to make an Odyssey movie, Warner Brothers would have been like, what? Why? No one wants to see an Odyssey movie. Like, what? This is not a thing people are asking for, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Go back and make your silly horror movies with no budget that make us millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah. Sure.
Um, so that also is because Christopher Nolan, right? So Warner
Hmm.
Brothers at this point, they see Christopher Nolan and they see him dropping the word IMAX and they just see dollar signs, right? Like
Hmm.
that's it.
Hmm.
Um
Yeah.
that is the only, like, it's the easiest green light in the world. Christopher Nolan
Hmm.
IMAX, Warner Brothers is never going to say no. Pure and simple, period, right? It's not going to change. Or
Yeah.
whoever. I don't remember if Warner Brothers distributed uh Odyssey or not. I don't remember who it was who had that falling out with Warner Brothers. Um but yeah, so it's just, yeah, and you're probably right. Like Warner Brothers, or again, I don't know if it's Warner Brothers, whoever the distributor was, no one goes, I want to do Odyssey in IMAX. They didn't even hear him say Odyssey. They just heard IMAX and they're like, "Yep, here you go. Here's $500 million. Go do whatever you want. We're not going to worry about it." Um And good for the people who made the movie, good for them being a part of something that is making a lot. I would never besmirch a movie making money. I always want the people making these things to be
Hmm.
successful so they can continue their work and do more things. It's just, it is a little bit insane to me that the only reason this movie exists as it exists is because of the name Christopher Nolan attached to it. Pure and simple.
Hmm.
Like, that
Hmm.
is the power that he has in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm assuming it's Warner Brothers because he's been with them for so long. I think Inception was a Warner Brothers film. I think uh obviously the Batmans were. Tenet was,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
so
it's
I'm
it's
assuming so.
Universal. Yeah. So
Oh,
he
it's Universal.
he
Okay.
had a huge falling out. I remember this now that we're talking. He had a
Okay.
huge falling out with Warner Brothers. I think after Tenet, it had something to
Okay.
do with them wanting to just put it direct to streaming, and they didn't want to put the movie in theaters because of the pandemic and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't like how they handled it. Um and so he jumped ship, and when he went to
Okay.
start making his new movie, Universal came knocking, and he was like, yeah, sure, you'll do. Again, he doesn't
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like he doesn't care who the distributors are. Like, they care
Yeah.
who he is, right? He is the power here, right? No one is
Hmm.
going to see this movie is like, oh my god, the Odyssey, wow, Universal is doing this. I can't imagine any other studio who could produce
Yeah. Yeah.
no one gives a shit that it's Universal. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um so yeah, so Universal that's, I think that's his new go-to, because Universal did Oppenheimer as well, if I recall correctly.
Okay. Yeah. So he was the ultimate free agent a couple of years back after Tenet then. And then
Hmm.
yeah, and they signed him like they just picked him up, which was smart on Universal's part. They
Oh
probably
yeah,
printed again,
100%.
like they printed a lot of money as a result of that.
Yeah.
Um it's weird. Going back to which I think is the stinkiest movie, which is Tenet. It
Yeah.
makes me wonder, like, again, we're not we aren't privy to the room,
No.
but it was his worst movie, and maybe Warner Bros. Was right not to just go straight to streaming to at least
Yeah.
recoup some of the loss on a lame movie. I'm sorry, Nolan. Once in a while, you can make a stinker, and that was Tenet.
Right.
Except for Nolan fanboys, I think they would probably
Yeah, I
rake me
mean,
over
yeah,
the
right. I
coals
mean,
over that.
there,
But
yeah, exactly. Like, there is a community of people who, they just, it's not possible to um
yeah, yeah.
for them to not
So
like something that he does. I mean, and that's not specifically to Nolan. That's literally any sort of parasocial relationship, whether it's around a person or a company or an
yeah,
object, right? There is a community, a percentage of the community that is just unimpeachable. Like, you cannot sway
yeah.
them at all. So, um, but yeah, I mean, like, um, my question is like, how long can he sustain this? Because the Odyssey is an absolutely insane thing to exist. A story that's, like, I don't know how many thousands of years old,
Hmm.
retold through a modern lens, different enough that the translator who he allegedly used as a source material has openly stated that she hates the movie and thinks it's
Hmm.
terrible, right?
Hmm.
So you've got historians saying that it's a bad interpretation of the source material, but who cares?
Hmm.
Um, uh, you know, they've invented this impractical technology that no one else is going to use other than Christopher Nolan. Because it's so expensive to use, it's so expensive to produce, that they're not going to take the risk on anybody else to use this format. It's just mostly just going to go sit in a closet now
Hmm.
until Christopher Nolan is ready to make his next movie, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I just don't know. I just don't know how sustainable this is. It is right now. Clearly, the Odyssey is a runaway success, right? But
Hmm.
he's Nolan will make another stinker. I mean, that will happen,
Yeah.
right? No one
Yeah.
bats 1,000, pure and simple. Um, will his next stinker, because his movies are so expensive to produce now, will it be a big enough failure for the sort of the glimmer in Universal's eyes to fade a little bit, you know? Um yeah, I don't know. He is putting himself in a position where he is awfully expensive, and that's great because right now he's at the top of the world, but when you are as expensive as you are to make something, a single failure costs a hell of a lot more than someone who puts something together on a shoestring, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I just don't know how sustainable this whole the way he's producing this how it is, you know.
Yeah, I feel like we saw a mini. We might have seen a mini version of that with Tenet, with Warner Brothers because they were letting him, run
Mm-hmm.
with a blank
Mm-hmm.
check, and Universal will probably have to do. Will probably just run their
They'll have
meter
to
out
have
as
that
well,
come
and
to
just
Jesus talk too at some
yeah,
point. Yeah.
yeah. But it doesn't matter because they've already printed $1 billion
Mm-hmm.
over the
Right.
past 3 weeks. So the gamble paid off. So
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
unless he spends, yeah, I don't know what the budget was for the Odyssey. The initial budget. I don't know if you
Yeah.
happen to
I
know.
can figure it out pretty quick.
I'm just curious because, if you think about it, if you're running the studio and you make $1 billion, you paid for one or two failures for Nolan at this point, and
Yeah.
you can still break even at least.
So yeah, the total break even when you factor in the technology costs to develop everything, and this is just according to the
Hmm.
internet, so
Hmm.
take
Yeah,
that with a grain of salt. But when you factor
sure.
in the technology costs, production costs, and marketing costs, the break even point conservatively was $625 million.
Okay,
Um,
so
so yeah, so not a cheap movie, right? And obviously
no.
it's blown
Mm-mm.
that out of the water, but no one else you're not gonna like no one else is gonna come to Universal and go, I need $600 million to make a movie.
Well, here's the other thing, though, too. You have to also consider marketing, right?
Well,
Was
that
marketing part of
includes
that
marketing.
budget?
That includes
Okay,
marketing. Yeah,
okay,
that's the
okay,
all
cool.
up production, marketing, and
Okay,
technology, and yeah.
so they've roughly made 40% of their. They made a 40% return on investment. It sounds like
Mm-hmm.
roughly, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
that's not bad. So
No. I
that'll,
mean, it was a
but yeah,
good
it won't.
gamble. There's no question about it.
But it won't pay for his next movie. They still need to
No,
make a little bit more money to pay for his next
right?
movie. But I think they will. I think it has long legs. I think it's extended out to September for the 70
Yeah,
millimeter. If the 70 millimeter is being extended out, then you know that the normal it's just gonna give you,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
icing on the top money at this point.
Oh
So
yeah. It's a
yeah.
no brainer. I mean the bean counters who greenlit this thing are just patting themselves on the back like they invented gold. Um, when in reality, all of the cards were in Nolan's hands, right? He could have literally
Yeah.
come to them and gone, I want to make a 3 hour long movie filmed entirely in on IMAX, and it's just a pile of shit sitting in a field of grass. And they would have been like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
So
Well, now the next thing is, when are you going to throw in your money into the bucket to see this film? I'm assuming, I think you said you're not going to see it for the month or something, right? I mean, at this point.
yeah, it probably won't be until either like we're getting into the second half of this month, but probably like second week of September right now, probably towards the
Hmm.
end of the 70 millimeter run. I'm thankfully getting busy again.
Hmm.
So which is a good problem to have.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'll try to see it. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. Worst case scenario, I see it in some other format. It's not like I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not like the one thing Warner or Universal wasn't going to allow happen is for him to make a movie that can only be viewed on 41 screens, right? So like, you're gonna be able to see
Yeah.
the movie everywhere. Like that's just the nature of the beast. And I
Yeah.
just, I hope that when it comes to streaming, and I don't think that they're gonna do this because again, it'll just, it'll the jig will be up if they do this. But I would love for them to do what is the aspect ratio of IMAX? It's like 1.75 by 1 or something like that. I don't remember. It's basically a square.
Mhm.
Um, it's not quite 4 by 3. Or maybe it's a little bit more than I don't know. I think it's somewhere between 4 by 3 and 16 by 9. But Uh, uh, I would love for them to do an original aspect ratio cut on whatever streaming
Mm,
platform it lands on, you know?
mhm.
Um, because I would like to see the cinematography as it was actually intended if I don't, get around to going to see it in the 70 millimeter, true IMAX theater, right? Because
Mhm.
I do care about cinematography and I do care about how the film was shot and intended to be viewed, right? You know, I don't really want to see the chopped off version of the movie. Just like I don't like pan and scan, you know, it's the same thing here, but I don't know if they'll do that because if they did do that, people will go, "Wait, why is it like this?" Like why am I watching this in a box? Like I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
understand, and then you'll have to explain it. Was like, well, you have to understand that really the only thing the IMAX is a resolution gimmick, and that's it, right? Like you don't,
Mhm.
how do you
Mhm.
explain that to people?
Yeah.
So,
And it's another thing that's kind of found it interest that I kind of found funny is how it feels like Tom Holland and John Bernthal are just like actor brothers. They're
dude,
in
they're in
everything
everything
together.
together. Yeah, I know, I know.
So yeah, this is my minor quip. So I did see Spider Man,
Yep.
and I know that you know you're. I would almost consider for you almost gushing over this latest Spider Man.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
As much as I gush,
uh,
yeah,
yeah, as much as you gush, I liked it too. I mean, as much to Artist Mason, it's fun to have a healthy debate about these things. I was pretty much the same line with you. I was great, but
yeah.
I've liked all the Holland movies, and I have a predisposition liking Spider Man. So there was that. I will say I don't like the what's the actor name? Is it Garfield? The middle ones, the Amazing Spider Man run.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't a
Andrew
big fan of
Garfield.
those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Andrew Garfield. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of those as much. I still watched them, but they were not. Yeah. But
Hmm.
the Holland ones are terrific, and so every one of them I've enjoyed for the most part. And this latest one is probably the best one out of the four that he's done.
I think so.
Um,
I agree with that.
yeah, yeah. But with Bernthal, just watching him, I mean, it's funny. I just watched him as the Punisher, and this isn't a spoiler. You've seen the trailers. He's in the trailers, if I recall, right? I think Punisher's in the trailers.
Oh yeah,
Oops,
yeah, yeah.
sorry
He
if there's a
is.
spoiler. Yeah,
No, no, no. He's in the
yeah.
trailers. Yeah.
Okay, so Bernthal's in the and he plays opposite of Holland in the movie, in some scenes, stuff like that. And then you watch the Odyssey, and there they are again. They're hanging out, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't help but like something about Bernthal. He sort of reminds me of the modern day Harrison Ford, which is you're just getting Harrison Ford.
Hmm.
You are just gonna get John Bernthal, and whatever role he's in now at this point, he's just gonna be John Bernthal as a character. So he kind of does those grunts. He kind of does those side looks and those side eyes and stuff like that. He's got a very distinct way he acts and stuff like that. And in the Odyssey, it was just to me, it was just the Punisher and Peter Parker hanging out. Although Holland, I think he does have a lot more range. I think with his acting,
Hmm.
I didn't see him as Peter Parker in this. He was playing a younger to all the elders around him. There was that, but he did feel like a different kind of character. I can't remember the name of the character's name, um, but it was kind of funny to watch them in the Odyssey talking and stuff like that. And I just kept thinking about he was just in the Spider-Man movie, and Punisher was saying a bunch of lines to make the audience laugh. And
Hmm.
here we are again. It was a little more darker in Odyssey, of course. There was some he Bernthal had heavier lines in this one that
Hmm.
weren't as funny for sure. But yeah, but I just can't. I just kept thinking like, man, these guys are getting a lot of work, and they're getting it's showing up the same sets and do the same publicity tours and stuff like that together on
Hmm.
which movie it is, and Zendaya too. Zendaya was
Oh
also
yeah, yeah.
another
She
one.
was also in
Yeah.
the Odyssey. Yeah, I know.
Mm,
This is why. I mean, it's great. Like I don't, I like John Bernthal well enough. I don't really feel anything one way or the other for Zendaya or Tom Holland personally.
mhm,
I think
mhm.
they're fine. I don't think that they're masters of their craft personally, but
Uh-huh.
and you're right. I mean, if you don't like John Bernthal, you're not going to like him in any movie that he's in
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
has one character
Yeah.
that he plays, and it's John
Yeah.
Bernthal.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's one of the reasons why it's been so refreshing to me this summer with all of these much smaller movies coming out with no named people because like I like John Bernthal, but it is fatiguing to see him in every single movie, right? Same
Yeah,
with Tom
yeah.
Holland. It just seems like you can't, like, if you go see a movie that has a budget of over $1 million, it's like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to watch Zendaya again. It's like,
Yeah,
again, no shade.
yeah,
She's a perfectly competent actor.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but there's a certain point where, like, I would like to see somebody else's take on a character.
Yeah, sure,
Like,
sure.
I remember a couple of years ago, 2021, I think, where it was just like the summer of Timothy Chalamet. He was in
Oh,
literally every
yeah.
movie, and I'm like, I really don't want to see another movie with this guy in it. Um, and so, yeah, I like that there this summer too. There has been an escape valve of sorts, right? Where
Uh-huh.
you get to see somebody other than the five actors in that are in every single big budget movie right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's goes back to the whole thing. Like, they're printing money, so why not go
yeah,
with the bankable, quote unquote, bankable actors? So I
right,
get that.
hundred
Yeah, I'm
percent.
with you there. Yeah, Timothy Chalamet. And speaking of which, okay, it's not really a spoiler, but there is a moment in when you go in to go see the Odyssey. I'm assuming you're gonna have the same thing, but they have a few moments of they have some footage of Dune 3. You know, before the Odyssey
Oh,
starts.
okay,
Like, hey,
okay,
by the way, we have Dune 3 coming out soon. Look at this. Look at this sequence. And that's and
got it.
presented by
Right, right,
yeah.
yeah,
That's all it
got it.
is. It's like a really like a mini trailer, but really a short sequence from Dune 3.
Just to
Still
show
going back to
like
the
how cool
Timothy.
it is in IMAX.
Yeah, look
Yeah,
how cool it is. You need to go see this too, kind of a thing.
yeah.
And when Nolan's name, like, here's a little sequence, well, a little
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Nolan kind of a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a sequence featuring Dune 3. I don't think Shyamalan's in that sequence, oddly
Oh,
enough.
okay. Hmm.
Yeah, it's like a battle sequence of sorts and everything like that. Yeah, but yeah, it was interesting. But and we can reserve this for the stream. But the Dune thing, I don't really, I'm gonna be on the outside of this. I'm not like jazzed about Dune. I like
Mm.
them. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's some really cool shots in Dune 1 and
Mm-hmm.
2
Mm-hmm.
that are striking, visually striking stuff by themselves, like for a few minutes, that were just fun. But I find the dialogue kind of boring. I find the shots kind of boring. I kind of just want to take a nap. But that's also maybe not the director's fault. I can't pronounce his name, life of me,
Denny
but
Villeneuve.
Denny Villeneuve, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if it's his fault because it's just the material. It's just that's the what's probably what's listed from the book.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's not my most favorite sci-fi type of movie that's out there. Even with the new coat of paint that he's done with it, it wasn't enough for me. Yeah, I'm not sure where you're at on that, but
It's a visually striking movie. I
hmm
love the way it looks. I love the ship design. I love the costume design. The cinematography is great, like you say.
hmm
Amazing vistas, amazing,
yeah, yeah,
um, just like just beautiful sequences. I think the special effects are really good. Um, uh, it is, I think, probably about as close to the books as you're gonna get. And the ending
hmm
of the second movie was significantly changed. Um, in the
okay,
book, I don't remember Zendaya's character name off the top of my head. Um, she when Paul Atreides takes the Emperor's daughter to be his wife, it's a calculated move that they're both in on, right?
hmm
And so, like, Zendaya plays along with this whole charade, and then in Dune Messiah, they've got their whole thing going on in the background while Atreides is doing, his whole genocide thing, right?
hmm
Um,
hmm
and they significantly changed the ending in the second movie, whereas Zendaya's character was not on board with it, and she was in conflict with him, and so it's a pretty
yeah,
significant change from the source material. But
okay,
other than that, the movies are relatively close to the book. Like, they cut out, swaths of the book that are about how interstellar travel works, what the economic, infrastructure looks like
mm,
for a universe spanning empire, what the politics and the hierarchy is of this empire, why the technology is the way it is. There's like all of this world building that just, you know, is just trimmed away, and you rarely get to see, you know, it explains what the Harkonnen family is and why they have power, you know, what the Atreides family are, why they have power, etc., etc.
Hmm.
It goes into way more detail about why Arrakis is so important, you know. So all of that, the minutia that you can do in a novel, is cut out for the movie.
Mm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that they did a pretty good job of taking what was left and turning it into a comprehensible movie. So that's great.
Hmm.
And I enjoyed it, but yeah, no, it's not like I'll go see Dune. I guess they're calling it Dune Part 3 when it comes
Yeah.
out, but it's just like, you know, yeah, it's fine. Um
So you read the books that you read the book. Is it a one book? I can't remember
it's
if it's one
well,
book or a
It's
series.
Dune and Dune Messiah are the two main books, but there's like a million books in the
Okay.
Dune universe that ultimately, like,
Okay.
Frank Herbert's son started writing in association with a couple other writers. But yeah, the two like main books that Frank Herbert did were Dune and Dune Messiah.
Okay. All right.
And also,
Yeah.
like, there are, yeah, so there's like aspects of Dune Part 2, I can't remember which way it is, um that are either were dropped and are going to be in Dune Part 3 or vice versa, right? Like the stories between those two books are bleeding together a little bit
Hmm.
between the three movies.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
but it is a pretty good interpretation of the source material. I
Cool.
mean, I think hardcore Dune fans would, you know,
Are
tar
happy
and
with it.
feather
I think
me.
they're.
Well, I think they would
Yeah.
tar and feather me for saying something like that, but in my
Mm.
opinion, it's a pretty decent adaptation.
I got the. I mean, again, I don't put the pulse. I don't have the my finger on the pulse of the internet, but my impression was people like the Dune,
Yeah. Oh
these
yeah, yeah,
new
yeah,
Dune movies. You know. So
yeah.
yeah.
Again, yeah, I enjoyed
But
them. Um, a little tired of seeing Timothy Chalamet and
yeah.
Zendaya and everything. Um,
Yeah.
but the movie's still
Yeah.
good, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think we're in pretty good shape for tonight. All that being said, I mean, I'd like to talk about Spider-Man some more, but we can save it for another time. I
Let's say
mean, but again,
another,
there's no
yeah.
drama. I thought it was a great movie
Right,
too.
I enjoyed
So
it. It was a great summer popcorn flick. Like, is it
yeah,
a work of art? No, but I didn't need it to be.
yeah.
Um,
It's a comic book movie. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
Let's see. Let me turn off the storyboard. We can see the animation. But yeah, it's pretty much just Calamity Jane taking her sip and then turning and leaving,
mm-hmm.
and then reacting
There's
to
the
that. I
warhog.
might,
All right.
yeah, and then the Warhawk comes in. The one thing I might do, because right now she's very focused sticky here, she doesn't move her legs, so I'm gonna probably have to do a little bit of animation
Uh-huh.
massaging on that a
She's a
little
little
bit. But
South Parky
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, it's very South Parky, yeah. So we need to change that a little bit. But yeah, so but this scene is pretty close to 85% done.
Cool.
So we'll
Very
call it
cool.
good there for tonight.
All right. Well, if you're watching this now or whenever, consider heading on over to Calamity John That Rocks. It'll take you to our Patreon site. Become a subscriber and help us make this cartoon a reality. You found us on Facebook or YouTube because you're watching the stream. And we're also on Instagram at Calamity Jane Salamander. It's just another place where we post updates and whatnot about what we're working on. But in the meantime, I think I will be free. Maybe let me check real quick. To do, yeah, I think I'll be good to go for next Monday evening if you are. So if so, we'll catch you all up next Monday. Until then, have a great night and stay safe out there, everybody.
Good night.